Hey guys, what is up? Medion Challenge Grand Finals coming up for you between CLG and Moscow 5. If you weren't here before for C-Zone's rundown, it's going to be a best of 5 format with CLG having a 1-0 lead. The reason for that is because they did come unscathed through the upper brackets and got all the way through to this stage. They're going to be rewarded with that 1-0. So here we go. Moscow 5 going to be looking to pull this one back to an all-even affair. And do you think we're actually going to have any first level team fights kicking off here, Broken?
Well, both teams have quite a good level one team fight, but it's gonna give the advantage to Moscow 5 simply because the Blitzcrank pull is able to just make a big play happen if he manages to land it. Stupe putting his sapling, just a defensive sapling there, since you've got a lot of time before you actually have to put the first sapling. The first sapling will go down in the Wraith camp if he chooses to start there around 1 minute and 6 seconds. On CLG's side, Froggen's level 1. If you can land that Q is very, very devastating. However, I mean, Darian's E is a stun. Diamond Prox can Q through an entire wave of people. Alex is slow. I don't think any team is really interested in doing a level 1 fight, although I would be expecting Moscow 5 to do something a little bit scandalous with this Blitzcrank pull.
Yeah, we have seen Gosu Pepper really pushing the envelope with that blitz, stealing blues and such. Obviously, they are on the purple team, so it looks like he's going to be opting maybe for the Wraith camp instead. That has just put that ward down, so they're going to have fairly decent coverage and vision of Maokai. Here comes Genja, going to try and take it. Blitzcrank pulling that big Wraith through the wall. Big play coming out there.
That's exactly what I was expecting. That's just Gosu Pepper and Blitzcrank right there. That actually does affect Maokai quite a bit. Look at the amount of experience he got. It's like you miss all the experience. He didn't get a single point of experience because he wasn't standing next to it. So Snoopy is going to have a hard time getting to level 3. Usually the whole point of a Wraith camp, starting in there, is so you can get the extra camp off, because it's essentially a camp that's done instantly. You go to Wolves, you do that, then you go back to Wraith, because by the time you get there, it's essentially denying him that early camp. So it's like he started without a camp. He just went straight to blue. That's essentially how much they put him behind.
Well, you did say you were expecting Moscow 5 to do something scandalous, and that's exactly what Blitzcrank did. Pulling the Wraith through the wall, Maokai must have been like, oh dear me, that's a lot of my XP just disintegrating before my eyes. He's going to go back to that Wraith once again. And in the meantime, Nocturne has just been farming his way around towards that blue. And we did speak before, actually, yesterday, Broken Shard, about Nocturne as a jungler. I know you rate him really, really highly, obviously, with that global ultimate for level 6 ganks.
I used to play Nocturne, like not play Nocturne ult, but then I took a Nocturne ult to the face. I'm sorry, I had to make a joke. Yeah, I used to be renowned as the worst Nocturne possible, but then I started picking him up and actually putting the effort into learning him. And I can say that I've gotten quite good as Nocturne, and I really feel that Nocturne, with a good team such as Moscow 5, who know to abuse that ultimate's ridiculous range and presence, it's just so strong, the things that a Nocturne can do in well-coordinated ganks. Snoopy is now double buffed with, no, he's not double buffed, he's level 3, and he's going to try something on Darien top. However,
Yeah.
Prox will hit level 4, yes, and Diamond Prox, it's so strong. Nocturne is ridiculously strong. I think it's in it's in their best interest to try to fend this off.
Yeah, you are going to see both CLG pulling themselves back. They don't want to come in contention with that Nocturne with double buff. And you are going to see a couple Reckless Swings being exchanged there from Wicked on towards Darien. And the Sapling, so frustratingly, will just hit Diamond Prox as he was about to recall. So a bit of trolling backwards and forwards between these two teams. Finally, Nocturne has managed to pull his way back, and Maokai likewise will recall back to spawn. So no early first bloods right now. Did have a couple attempts at that top lane, but it's going to be back to that farming phase once again.
The thing is, now Snoopy goes back and gets his Pillow Stone. It's quite good that he decided to go back early instead of try to make another gank happen. He's going to move on to his red buff, and Snoopy still has quite a bit of time. No, actually he does not have much time on his blue buff. So the fact that he got this Pillow Stone is going to remedy a little bit of the damage that was done. In the meantime, though, Diamond Prox picked up 2 wards and a cloth armor, so I'm certain that Diamond is a little bit more concerned of the fact that Maokai has a little bit more ganking pressure before he gets level 6. These wards are really going to help his team decipher where Maokai is going to come from. You see, he placed that ward down there, and I don't know if he placed 2 wards. He placed one over in the river bush next to the ramp bush of mid lane, so that we're gonna see if Maokai's gonna come through the back entrance, and they put one in top lane. And now that he's holding top, he's gonna make up for a little bit of experience that he lost. Instead of clearing, he's been kind of roaming a little bit.
Yeah, he did just that. Stipe did just push into that mid, forcing Alex to pull back, and did give Nivea a chance to get a few creep farm there next to the tower. Froggen and Alex both level 5 at the moment. Let's have a quick look at the early levels of creep farm. We're going to have 28 on Anivia, 32 on Malphite, so nothing to write home about there. And one thing I did notice from watching the cast that you and C-Zone did prior to this one at Broken Shard was that Gosu Pepper did miss a lot of his pulls early game, but he was landing the pulls late game that really counted, pulling those players into the rest of his team, nuking them down, winning the team fights, and ultimately the game.
It's Russian mind games, my friend. I mean, he's making it seem like he can't land the pulls, but when it actually matters, they're like, no problem, he can't land those. Oh crap, he actually did. So, no. But yeah, I guess landing pulls in lane is actually very difficult for Blitzcrank players. You really need to know the mechanics and like the exact hitbox of his pull. And as I'm talking about that, he's trying to go onto Soraka. Yeah, he misses the pull there. There's way too much room to maneuver around, and with the creeps blocking, it's really difficult to get a pinpoint pull off. And a lot of Blitzcrank players can agree with me on that.
Yep, so we are going to have a couple items being taken there. Froggen has gone back to spawn, picks up the Tear of the Goddess, of course, for that mana consumption. Is going to give him a lot of mana in his back pocket when he so chooses. On top of that, Berserker's Greaves and Adoran's Blade have been finished off from Cogmore. On the flip side, Corki hasn't actually gone back just yet. Just noticed that he's level 5 to Cogmore's 4, and he does still have 2 health pots, so Corki can afford to stay in that lane for a bit longer, maybe go back around level 6 or so, and try and buy himself up some items. How many gold does he actually have in his back pocket? He's got 1,330, so he has plenty of gold to play with once he so chooses to go back. And I have a Philo Stone on Malphite as well, and a couple pings are going to be going off onto Froggen, as he will be warding that Wraith camp. So lots of vision put down from either side here, but still no first blood has gone down.
And now this red buff will go to Froggen here. And the problem now that Maokai has not really been able to get a gank off, his jungle clear is particularly slower than Nocturne is. Nocturne is now at 44 creeps to Maokai's 30. Nocturne is level 6, Maokai is level 4 on to 5. Right now, we're probably going to see some conjoined ganks coming in from Malphite and Nocturne. They're also both very, very good for roaming around the map. Froggen picked up tier, no Chalice on Alex. Normally I would expect the Malphite to go Chalice against an AP in mid, but maybe he felt that a Doran's Ring and a Philostone would suit his needs a lot better than a Chalice of Harmony. That Doran's Ring's health is actually going to give a little bit of extra shield onto his passive.
Alright, just noticed there that we also have another gold per 10 item being built up there on Olaf at top for Wicked, so he is going to be getting a nice amount of health on top of the gold per 10, of course, and trying to catch up there on Irelia. Irelia currently 52, Olaf on 50, so very, very close. Darian will be recalling here. And going back to spawn, he has, let's see, 700 gold. Is he going to finish anything off? Nope. He is just going to go ahead and buy the Ruby Crystal for some extra health. So neither of the junglers have really opted and tried to apply that pressure at top lane, apart from around the 3-minute mark when both went towards top. So very much a slow, steady approach from Moscow 5 and CLG.eu here.
Yeah, but definitely, I mean, Diamond U, I'm pretty sure Diamond was guessing that Maokai would be trying to pressure his top lane, considering that's what Maokai does. And Snoopy tends to do that a lot. He likes to go up top after he gets his double buff. Level 3 with CC junglers like Nautilus or Maokai. And Diamond was more interested in making sure that Therian does not die to that gank, and making sure that he's not able to sort of snowball the lane. Diamond is more than content at just being able to farm his jungle, get the levels, and once he finds an opportunity for himself, or he's able to force an opportunity, he's going to ult in, and the steroids that Nocturne has is just going to be ridiculous. In mid lane, we kind of saw Nivea falling behind on CS, but at this point, I mean, it's practically assured her CS. She can just plop her ult down, her Q, and it instantly clears a wave.
Yeah,
oh,
she
wow.
has landed a couple of abilities there onto Alex,
Wow.
and Alex going down to a third of health. Nice stuff from Frog and lots of burst damage. Let's have a look where he's put his points, actually. I'm assuming most of them in Frostbite. Yes, indeed. So he's got 4 in Frostbite, 2 in that Flash Frost, which of course is cute, and 1 in the wall alongside his ultimate. So he is doing a lot of damage with his E right now, and Alex is feeling the effects, but still undeterred, going to keep taking down those creeps, and he currently finds himself on 85. So nice stuff from him.
85 to 85 on the mids right now.
Yeah.
So Alex kind of running right through. The ward will not spot him since he was going around the bush. Bot lane will not see Alex coming in. I'm sure they can guess. There he is. They have no idea that he's down here. Will he go in for this ult? I'd really like to see some aggressive play coming here.
Yeah, he is. He's going to flash an ult in there. Corki's going to be opening up onto Crapo. That's going to be first blood for the AD carry. Cogmore trying his best to retort back onto Blitzcrank, but nothing is going to happen. And that right there, in a nutshell, is why AP Malphite is so strong. That ganking capability, so good. And Moscow 5 with an early lead.
Don't say AP Malphite's strong. I'm going to see him in solo queue all day long now.
Oh, we're actually going to have some action at top as well. I thought for a second Wicked may try and finish off Darian there, but we'd be unwise to do so, as Diamond Prox is actually on the golems, and of course that paranoia is still up, so Wicked needs to be careful. There are no wards whatsoever for Olaf here, so 0 visibility, and here comes Diamond Prox just prowling around the side. Now going to have a nice engage coming on here from Nocturne, saving the bacon of Darian. He's going to catch a couple of Transcendent Blades. Will he get dropped, though? Look at that damage from Reckless Swing. And that's going to be enough to say, no way, Jose, Nocturne. You're going to have to pull yourself back. So, nice play from Nocturne, that.
That's really what Darian needs to do, because he was really getting pushed back. And now Wicked is forced to either stay or lose experience. He now popped his heal, so he's got a respectable amount of HP that they simply cannot dive on. Darian out of mana, Diamond Prox close to out of mana. They're just going to have to leave, and this is really good for Wicked since he was risking losing a lot of these creeps.
Yeah, and in amongst all that, CLG took the opportunity, knowing that Nocturne was at top, to go ahead and just pick themselves up Dragon. So even though they were the recipients of First Blood, they actually are 500 gold ahead right now, and it's them kind of quick reactions. But that's not going to last for long,
because take a look at what Alex is building.
Let's have a look. Oh, Alex. Gold per 10 Mania. He's got the Cage's Lucky Pick, the Heart of Gold, and the Philosopher's Stone. So he is definitely going to be raking in that cash, rolling in it, and going back to his lane to pick up some creep farm too.
There's a player on NA known as Gragas121. Is also known as Kramer121. He has been running this particular build on Galio. I mean, Malphite and Galio are very similar in the sense that they're tanks who can stack a particular defense and receive benefits from it. Like Malphite will stack armor, Galio will stack magic resist, and he seems to prefer doing this over the Chalice. We see this build on Kog'Maw. We've actually seen this build on Anivia several times, though minus the Chalice. Sorry, minus the Philostone more. They just get like a tier or a Chalice instead. So yeah, I mean, DFG is a particularly strong item on Malphite since you can DFG and then ult someone and it does a ridiculous amount of damage. I mean, tons of damage even without a Triforce. You put DFG on any person and they instantly become a nuke machine.
I couldn't agree more. DFG and Unstoppable Force afterwards. That's going to do some serious pain. We are going to have the blue being given to Anivia, as you'd expect that from Snoopy. So she's going to be pulling herself back towards the mid. And in the meantime, Malphite will be moving his way down to bot. This right here is Deja Vu, no ward coverage, but instead, realizing that Corki and also Gosu Pepper were recalling, he has opted to go back towards mid. So communication was off for a couple seconds, but they got there in the end. And he's going to go back towards mid and just farm up the minions once again. 112 creep score.
It's playing sort of like how Morganas or Scions, they just kind of move in, they clear the wave, and then they try to look for ganks. His ult really opens up a lot of opportunities. His burst combo is quite devastating. His ult will do 250, followed by Q, which does 290, and then E will do about 200 damage. He's got quite a strong burst combo with Ignite. Not to mention, he's also extremely tanky with 1,800 HP, about 80 armor, which will increase once he uses his W. Oh, that buff almost went to Diamond. The Wriggles proc followed by red buff, but Alex managed to Q it just in time.
Yeah, did manage to pick that one up, and actually, in amongst all of that, Darian went hyper-aggressive onto Olaf, forcing Wicked to go back to spawn. We do have some more items being built up. Glacial Shroud onto Wicked, more than likely going to go into a Frozen Heart relatively soon. You also have the Zeal getting taken from Cogmore, and on the flip side, 2 Phages for Irelia and Corki respectively, and as you said before, the Wriggles Lantern has been completed already onto Nocturne. So just to give you an idea of what both teams are bringing to the table right now, Gold is pretty much dead even, 18k on the money. Nothing to separate these two teams.
We said earlier that Maokai is actually quite behind Nocturne here. I mean, yeah, he has the dragon advantage, but at the same time, oh wow, I missed that, I'm so sorry.
We're going to have bot kicking off here as Corki has just been caught out from the Twisted Vans, will be going down, so 2 kills exchanged. Gosu Pepper is now going to get chased and hounded from Wicked, who misses that second undertow, but to be honest, even if he had have landed it, not too sure he'd have picked up the kill with Malphite full health stood right next to Gosu Pepper, so you do get 2 kills coming down.
In response, top lane will be pushed down by Darien. I believe the dragon will be spawning quite soon. So the fact that Wicked was able to go bot and try to do a counter gank, it's actually very good intuition from him. But at the same time, if they're not able to get a turret or the dragon, well, they're going to get mid turret, so I guess it's good for them. Darien will now get top turret.
Yeah, so it is going to be a trade of towers here, although Darien may not finish this one off. I think he's going to let the minions do the work by and large. And yeah, that tower will finally be getting taken out. But Moscow 5, really, I think this is kind of a grudge match for them. Obviously, CVC final did go down to CLG, Moscow 5. CLG got the upper hand, a very comfortable 2-0 victory in the end. So Moscow 5 may be a point to prove to themselves here that they can claim the scalps of the absolute juggernauts of CLG, and currently they are 2-1 ahead on kills, but again, that goal difference is pretty much 0. 20.9k to 20.9k on the dot. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I said earlier that I was going to make a little bit of a comment about the Maokai. I mean, Maokai's double gold items are kind of pulling him back into par with Nocturne.
Oh, mid lane, we are going to have an unstoppable force and paranoia used onto Froggen. I don't think they're going to be able to finish her off there. Transcendent Blades will take her down to egg form, so a moral victory in that sense. But Soraka stood right next to Froggen. Will be more than enough support to keep him in that lane, but he will be recalling, maybe going to pick up a couple of items, and in amongst that I did just catch in the corner of my eye that Frozen Heart has indeed been finished off onto Olaf around the 16-minute 50 mark.
Yes, Soraka just came in the nick of time, but that Transcendent Blade being able to pop his egg is actually, if Moscow 5 are able to take advantage of that egg, it's going to be really good for them. We see Froggen going for a Haunting Guise. Haunting Guise wasn't buffed, though I heard some rumors that it was going to get a move speed boost on it. Currently, it does not have that. He went for Mirth Threads and then a Haunting Guise, so I guess he's trying to compensate for the penetration there. In the other side, Alex got Merc Threads, finishes 3 gold items, and then has a Negatron Cloak. So no particular armor items, nothing really big in terms of AP. We might see the combination of Abyssal DFG, which is actually very common amongst AP players nowadays.
Yeah, the Abyssal on Malphite will be super strong. We do have, once again, Dragon respawning, which is going to attract all 10 players around the vicinity. Couple wards are placed down. CLG going to be opening this one up first, but Corki from the side spamming away those missile barrages. Are we going to be having an engage? Cogmore slightly doing maybe a tiny bit more damage right now than Corki is, but we are actually going to have the engage coming off here as Maokai will be jumping on towards that Malphite, popping the ultimate down. On top of that, here comes Olaf with a huge reckless swing, chunking through Irelia and the Cogmore ultimates. In amongst all that, nobody has fallen just yet. Beautiful play from Alex, using Unstoppable Force to alleviate the pressure, then flashing away. This could be Irelia falling, but they're actually going to focus onto Corki. Nice play from CLG there, taking down the kill. Now going to be going on to Darien, who has 8 and exhaust for his troubles, maybe pulling back that tower, but here comes a twisted advance, and the Wicked on top of that reckless swing, cutting through Irelia like she never even existed, and that should be the comfortable dragon on top of that. In fact, hold that thought though, because here comes Diamond Prox on towards Maokai, did land the Unspeakable Horror, but the rest of CLG starting to push towards the remaining Moscow 5 lineup. Nocturne has to be so
That was
careful.
simply everything just gone wrong for Moscow 5. Genja was split, he had to use his Valkyrie to come in, and the second he came in, the CLG were like, oh hello there! turned onto him Ignite. He had no summoners, no heal. He was seriously just a sitting duck. Alex also was forced to use his ult onto just one person. I feel that if he had used the ult when they were kind of all gathering around the curve of the Dragon Pit, it would have hit all 5 members of CLG and would have been the absolute perfect initiate for them. Genji would have been able to pop in and use his superior AoE. Kog'Maw would have had to use his flash and heal to just try to get his position. It seemed like a great opening that Moscow 5 are just not able to exploit. In the end, it was a very sloppy team fight with a lot of split focus and split team play.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, Genji was at bot lane all by his lonesome, so he couldn't really do a great deal. As soon as they turned and faced him, he was dead in a heartbeat. And Malphite Alex there, using the ultimate just to save his team at the end, just landing it on 2 players, and then instantly flashing away on top of that. So, kind of a culmination of errors there from Moscow 5. They do lose a player or 2 and a dragon on top of that. Goal difference now about 1.4k. Nothing to write home about, but it's those kind of mistakes, if they keep mounting up, could take Moscow 5 out of this game.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Olaf now with 40% cooldown reduction, I believe. 35% now, the Lucidity Boots and the Frozen Heart giving him quite a bit of cooldown reduction. Just 1 second, I'm going to do some quick math. I don't believe he has the Defense Mastery, which gives him cooldown reduction every level, so he's going to just be sitting a little bit off the cap. His Reckless Swings are going to be coming in very quickly, every 3 seconds. Undertow coming in every 2 seconds if he can pick up the axe. Alex sitting on quite a lot of gold, actually. He's sitting on 1,800. Maybe he'll go back and finish an Abyssal, if that's what he's aiming to build, or a DFG. Diamond is setting in bottom. He has his ultimate up. But Yellowpea has both summoners, so I don't think this is going to be a very successful gank.
Yeah, just notice as well that Irelia and Corki both looking to build toward Trinity Forces. They've got the components there, Phage and Zeal for Corki, Sheen and Phage for Irelia. Here comes Darian at bot lane alongside Diamond Proc. So 4 Moscow 5 players are lurking around this area. But I don't think they're going to get rewarded with anything here, as Yellowpea and Crappo will be pulling back, taking those golems down. Also, Maokai Snoopy has joined into the fray. So going to be a 3-on-3 underneath this tower, but of course with Kog'Maw's ultimate at living artillery, he's going to be able to spam down those creeps from a distance. And really going to stop this onslaught from Moscow 5. So yeah, Darian pushing back up towards mid. Doesn't look like we're going to have any team fights kicking off at bot lane, as both teams do just subside and pull back to their respective towers.
Yeah, it looks like Alex went ahead and built an Abyssal Scepter. And is coming back into his mid lane, or top lane, sorry, to farm up those creeps. I think, sorry, excuse me, I just have a little bit of a cough there. There's not really much to say. I mean, CLG have been doing this conservative playstyle a lot. They get the advantage and then they don't try to take risks. They try to play safe, take every dragon, take every objective as it comes up, and sort of let the gold items that they build tick in and let their late game comp flourish. They have Olaf, they have Kog'Maw, they have Anivia, they have Maokai and Soraka. They have a really strong late game comp. I think it's a lot more powerful than what Moscow 5 has to offer. I mean, even though Alex can possibly jump in and burst the Kog'Maw late game, if that's what he's aiming to do, Soraka will just be able to heal him.
Yeah, and with 1,000 euros actually up for grabs here, and 5 Medion gaming laptops, a lot on the line for Moscow 5 and CLG. So both going to be looking to pick up this game here and to start things off nicely. If you have just joined us, it's going to be a best of 5 format with CLG in the driver's seat, 1-0 ahead. The reason for that is we had an upper and lower bracket system, and CLG went all the way through to the grand finals in the upper bracket, so they are going to be rewarded. In the meantime, though, Maokai is moving his way towards bot lane, is going to get that ward down on Dragon, and now come into the bush. However, it is warded, so not going to be too much happening. You have to feel maybe Gosu Pepper will pull Snoopy. That's exactly what's going to happen now. This could be a kill on towards Snoopy. He's very tanky though, puts down the Ventral Maelstrom, so the ultimate going to make him that little bit more difficult to kill, and he'll be pulling himself back. But even still, nice play there from Gosu.
It's not a little bit, it's actually quite a big amount. 20% reduction is like having free resistances, and it's very inexpensive ult if you use it just for the incoming burst. I feel Maokai's ult is actually one of the most powerful ults for a support jungler, especially since you don't need the scaling to make it strong. It's not used for its damage. It's got some pretty good damage, but I mean, I don't believe that there's any ult in the game that will give your entire team percentage resistances for a set period of time.
Nope, I don't believe there is. So yeah, Maokai is going to be very, very influential going to that mid to late game here, especially with Anivia. If Anivia can land a wall down and her ultimate on top of that, the team fights are going to be looking very good for CLG. Malphite can come in with the unstoppable force, sure, but can't really take everybody down with just that. It's going to be the follow-up damage that's going to work good here for Moscow 5. Transcendent Blades has been popped there in mid from Irelia, just picking up some creep score. Let's have a quick look at the overall creep score. Maokai 211 and Anivia on 229. You do have the Abyssal Scepter, as Broken Shard said before, built on Alex. And on the flip side, you're going to have Chalice of Harmony, Tear of Goddess, Haunting Guise, Giant's Belt, and finally Amplifying Tome. And it has just been finished into a Fiendish Codex from Anivia. So interesting stuff coming out from both teams.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure you went Malphite there, not Maokai, just to make things clear.
Oh, sorry, did I say Maokai? My bad,
yeah,
Malphite, yeah.
Irelia picking up her Triforce that Null Magic Mantle could either be built into a Guardian Angel or a Wit's End, though I'm pretty sure Wit's End, since the damage, extra magic damage is going to be very helpful to them since they lack an AP carry. Irelia has actually been known to do, like, she's very scary to deal with because you can't just build a single defensive stat to deal with her. You have to build a combination of AD, Magic Resist if she builds a Wit's End, and armor for her physical damage. So it's really good of her if she's going to build this Wit's End, since it'll particularly improve their magic damage output. Genji going for Merc Threads. He's really scared of the CC that Team CLG has to offer. Anivia stun, Anivia slow, Maokai's W. So he really wants to be able to run away. Maokai is sitting on 1,600 gold, mainly because of those gold items. So I don't believe it's very smart for him to fight here when he's sitting on so much gold. Whereas looks like CLG have just been able to go in. Malphite is particularly behind in items. If this fight does go bad for Moscow 5, it'll be very difficult. The gold, this is a very good Mexican standoff because now that Genja is being able to push bot, CLG are not able to access this dragon. So really good for Moscow 5 for being able to zone them out.
Yeah, we are going to have that bot tower being taken out from Genja. And this Dragon Dance is going to continue, just dependent on, you have to feel when Alex decides the moment is right and they're going to try and strike here. Here we go, Genja will be pulling himself back. Are we going to have an engage? Here goes the twisted advance from Snoopy. They're not going to follow up onto that one though. And here comes Diamond Proxy. Did pop the Paranoia, but didn't use it to hop on to anybody. Wicked is going down very quickly, courtesy of Darren. Now going to have a full out all engage as Snoopy on twisted advance for the Alex, and somehow once again nobody going down. Both teams being very, very cautious, don't want to flat out commit to this one. Anivia wall has been popped as well, and the dragon is still up.
That was a good team fight for Moscow 5. Darien was very, very good in that he managed to force Wicked to flash over the wall. And there's the pull on Wicked. Will they be able to burst him?
That pull out is going to open up this team fight once again. 2 kills have been exchanged. Soraka and Blitzcrank both pick one up each. And Nivea's going to go back on towards Irelia. Malphite finally finishing off Maokai. And a nice Valkyries from Genja forcing Soraka to retreat. So lots of plays flashing up red here. And in amongst all of that, Nocturne will be trying to take down this dragon. Need to be careful though, because you do have Kog'Maw lurking around the bushes, trying to land a couple of ultimates on towards Corki. Nice missile barrage used from Genja. Did connect onto Kog'Maw, and he's going to force him to recall. So
it's really good because now all of CLG are very low HP. I mean, if again, just okay, there's the dragon, it goes to CLG, and now Froggen's in a world of trouble right now.
Nice
very
wall,
nice wall right there.
Yeah.
He's able to disengage completely. So that looked kind of bad for Froggen for a second there. Actually, very good team fight for Moscow 5. They managed to come out ahead in terms of things. More people on Moscow 5 were able to pick up assists than on CLG. For example, Gosu Pepper managed to pull in Olaf, and all 5 people of Moscow 5 were able to pick up assist credit for that kill. Kill credit, whereas only 2 of CLG were able to pick up assist credit. It's small things like these. Assists actually make a huge deal in team fights because it accounts for gold that is spread around. And more people were able to group up in Zerg rather than Snoopy actually having to dive all the way into the Dragon Pit alone to pick up the Darien kill.
What just kind of leaps out at me right now, Broken Shard, is the amount of slows and CC that CLG currently have in their lineup. Randuin's Omen just finished off onto Olaf, so he's going to be very scary once he gets in amongst the faces, popping Randuin's Omen, and then on top of that, Froggen and Anivia is going to be putting down all kinds of pain and hatred on towards Moscow 5. In the meantime, though, Nocturne has moved his way up towards top lane. The ultimate is off cooldown. Will they be popping this one anytime soon? Wicked has taken Randuin's Omen just to slow Darien back. Going to try and reply back on onto him. Is this going to be a perfect bait used from Irelia? The answer is potentially yes. Ragnarok has been popped there from Wicked, but here comes Anivia from the backside, throwing out the Flash Frost. Doesn't connect with anybody, but they need to be careful because Alex is coming from the side now as well. And suddenly it's a 3v3, so both teams kind of baiting and pulling one another.
No, it's not that. Look, Wicked's armor. It was 360 when Soraka healed him. Right now it's 255. Diamond Prox does nothing more than tickle him at the moment. He is so very tanky. It's just unbelievable. Since he's not particularly scared of the Malphite burst, Malphite now does have a DFG and a Shurelya's. So that one person is going to be in a world of pain, but that's the issue. It's just one person. One person is going to feel the entire burst, not multiple people. Wicked is more than comfortable stacking armor, and thanks to this Randwind's Omen, he's managed to pick up the cap of 40% cooldown reduction. Reckless Swing every 3 seconds, Ragnarok every 60, an Undertow up to a possibility of every 2.4 seconds if he's able to pick that up. It's, I'm sorry. Wow, he's able to have that axe up every second. I was misreading it. If he manages to pick up every axe, he'll have it up every second, which is incredible damage output.
Yeah, he is going to be a very formidable Viking indeed, and he's going to be trying to pick up more creep farm net. Let's have a quick look at some of the other items that have been built up. The Hex Drinker will be taken for Irelia. She did finish off the Trinity Force, as I said before. Corki also finishing his up, and he has added a BF Sword on top of that. On the other team, Phantom Dancer, BF Sword, Pickaxe, Vampiric Scepter, and Berserker's Greaves all on Kog'Maw, who's 005 right now. And you are also going to have that Athene's Holy Grail, Unholy Grail I should say, on Anivia. And that's the first time I've seen that item getting picked up in competitive play.
I'm actually kind of not as I'm not really sure why Darian picked up a Hex Drinker there. I mean, Hex Drinker is a particularly good item, especially since the magic damage that comes out of the CLG.eu is high, but it was to my understanding that since Irelia is more of an auto-attack champion, AD is less of an important stat on her than actual attack speed. Wit's End, in my particular opinion, is much more powerful than Hex Drinker, especially since the amount of magic resist that built on CLG.eu is particularly low. So she'll be able to abuse the fact that they don't have much magic resist. However, I guess he's more interested in getting the shield. He's scared that the Kog'Maw ult might be able to finish it off. The magic penetration on Froggen maybe. Olaf does new magic damage. Maokai does quite a bit of magical damage, but it's quite okay, here we go again. Negligible. Excuse me. Genja now with Triforce and BF Sword. Zeke's Herald picked up by Blitzcrank. Zeke's Herald is actually a very good item on this team. 3 of 5 people benefit from it quite strongly. Corki now with a Bloodthirster and Triforce, so the amount of sustained DPS that's going to come out of him is very strong.
I have to feel pain is incoming for Alex. As look at the amount of players for CLG pushing on towards him. The ultimate was burnt though, and the flash on top of that just to get back to the sanctuary of his tower. But for a couple seconds there, he must have been kind of in a sticky situation to say the least. But yeah, CLG will be pulling themselves back. Moscow 5 seem pretty much okay at the moment. Malphite will be rejoining the team very, very soon. But that Baron is going to play more and more pot. Wicked just did get pulled from Gosu Pepper, but Ragnarok was burnt instantly afterwards to combat that punch.
And Froggen CS is absolutely phenomenal. He's almost 300 creep kills. He has a Giant's Belt and a Blasting Wand, sorry. Those look like the combinations for a Rylai's, though I'm not particularly sure that's what Froggen has in mind. Maybe an Archangels and a Warmogs, possibly, or he might just go for that Death Cap. The Athene's Unholy Grail, one of the newer items that were released, in my opinion, I think it's a beautiful item. It's a great item for APs like Orianna, Anivia, Galio. And he went ahead and built that Archangel. It's going to boost his AP. He's sitting on about 3,000 mana right now. I don't see him running out of mana at any time during a team fight. On that end, Kog'Maw now with an Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer, it's kind of reached... Oh, wow.
And Ragnarok is not up, so Wicked's going to be in a world of pain right now. The Ignite was used, but he will manage to escape with the Soraka heal on top of everything else. Having said that, though, Dragon has just respawned. So Moscow 5 are going to be leapfrogging onto this one straight away. They do pick up the Dragon. Will they be engaging afterwards? Doesn't look likely. because CLG will be running away with their tail between their legs. Do not want to engage right now. Malphite's ulti, the unstoppable force, has came off cooldown, and it's such a good way of engaging into those team fights. But yeah, you were saying before about the Athene's Unholy Grail. Such a good item. 15% cooldown reduction, and it restores 12% of your max mana on kills or assists. That is so strong in Anivia.
And the combination of magic resist between the Mercs and the Athene's Unholy Grail is going to make her more difficult to kill. The magic resist from that is going to make Malphite's damage substantially lower. In that, when they pulled the Olaf, I guess there was a little bit of miscommunication because Alex used his Ignite and his DFG quite late in that sort of exchange. The DFG didn't really do that much damage since it does do a percentage of your current HP, not the max HP, but it does 35% of the current HP. So if he's able to do it as a first ability on a full HP champion, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to take a lot of damage.
So, Bloodthirster has been finished off onto Corki, and he's actually quite close to getting the max stacks as well. So, he is doing 271. He has 271 attack damage, pardon me, and is going to be finishing off the rest of those creeps. So, is now at max stacks on his Bloodthirster. It was reduced from losing all stacks to just half, so a nice item for Genja, and he is going to be laying down some serious pain on the rest of his team.
Sorry, Darian picking up that Wit's End right after the Hex Drinker. Really good combination of items, actually. Hex Drinker and Wit's End are very good tier 2 items. I call them tier 2 items because there's some things that you generally build for mid-game strength. Hex Drinker then is upgraded into a Maw Malmortius for the late game power. So very good on Darian there, picking up the necessary items in order to survive the sustained damage coming out of Froggen, sometimes Maokai, maybe sometimes of Yellow Pete's ultimate. On a side note, I'm really curious to see what Moscow 5's next step is. They're 3,000 gold ahead. They've been pretty good at capturing objectives, and a first team fight that went quite wrong for them turned into a second team fight that went good for them. They managed to pick up the second Drake, but right now people are picking up their buffs, kind of roaming around. Not an Oracle's on Soraka, but there's one on Snoop. So now it's going to commence into the stage where people are going to start Baron control. Gosu Pepper with the one on the Oracles. It's pretty much just going to be war dominance. Who can sit in the Baron pit first and keep the wards out? Right now it seems that CLG are the ones for that.
Yeah, they are going to be congregating around this bush. And as you said, it's definitely that Baron-dominated period of the game where both teams do not want to give this one up without a fight. They are going to go down swinging. So it's a scary couple of milliseconds there for Gosu Pepper, perhaps, as he did just catch a couple of players. Ward was planted down, going to instantly get taken out the equation as Gosu Pepper is rocking out the pink eye, the Oracle. And in amongst all of that, Snoopy... yeah, the pink eye. Snoopy will be taking down the Ward on the Baron on top of that. So Vision is going down, but instantly getting relinquished. And both teams are pretty much just pacing backwards and forwards, going through the motions.
Yeah, in this entire time, Kog'Maw did have his items, but when people are kind of like farming and picking up items, Kog'Maw has not really been able to pick up much CS in that time. I mean, he's 50 CS behind Genja and 2,000 gold behind as well. Genja is starting to really pick up those items, and even though Kog'Maw is a late game threat, oh wow!
Oh, that Wolf Anivia could spell doom for Alex here. We are going to have the Paranoia used, ultimate just to escape once again. And that's a big part of Moscow 5's arsenal completely taking out the equation there. The Baron is now well and truly open for CLG to pick the pieces. Alex had to go back towards spawn. And he is going to be another 15 to 20 seconds before he rejoins his Russian brothers. In the meantime...
Can Gosu pull someone? That would be kind of good if he's able to pull someone out.
It is possible, but nice positioning from CLG. Shryze has been popped there, the wall slightly off, but we are going to see the Maokai Twisted of Fates on towards Darian. He will be escaping though. And all kinds of damage being exchanged here. Crepo could be going down. In the meantime, Gosu Pepper, dangerously low health. Wicked's going to be on the assailant though. He's going to try and land those undertows. Does land one. Is it enough to take down Gosu Pepper? Yes, it will be. Maokai comes in for the kill. Now going to be shifting on towards the Diamond Procs. Darian is now going to come into heavy attack. He's going to go down from Kog'Maw. And Corki has to be so careful if he
1 second on Malphite. His ult is up now. Does CLG know this? I don't know. The beginning of the fight went quite badly for CLG. Wicked ran in the opposite direction, but this is great move from CLG, deciding to back, not deciding to go Baron. Malphite has been able to rejoin them. He sold his blasting one and picked up a needlessly large rod now. So it might be a Zonia's, it might be an Hourglass, an Hourglass, it might be a Death Cap. But Wicked ran around into the blue pit when entirety of CLG were fighting in that bush there, the river ramp. I was kind of confused, but the second Wicked rejoined, he was really able to show his absolute power with Olaf, running through, dipping at low HP, but it doesn't matter because he's able to stay alive with a tremendous amount of armor, which actually will jump up to 380 when Soraka heals him, if Soraka chooses to heal him.
Yeah, so having a quick look-see at the items, Anivia has got an Archangel Staff and the Large Rod, so she's currently at 416 ability power. Switching it over to Malphite, of course, he's very, very tanky with his HP, and also has 238 ability power. So both mid characters doing a nice job right now. And importantly, in that last team fight, Baron didn't go down. So in that sense, I mean, Moscow 5 will be relatively happy. Yes, they came out of that exchange definitely behind, but at least Baron didn't go down. And Moscow 5 will now be pushing on towards Dragon. Are you still there, Broken Shard?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still right here.
Okay, sweet. Just wasn't sure if we lost you there with lag or something. Either way, Dragon has been started off from Diamond Prox and Darian, who do leash out the Dragon, but opt not to continue on their Cogmore. Did land an ultimate onto Alex, which is going to give him vision for a few seconds. Now going to be starting off the Dragon again. Ward has been popped down from Soraka, so they know exactly what's going on. CLG now going to be lurking around this objective. Will they be picking it up, though? That is the question on their lips. The Anivia ultimate has gone down. They forced Moscow 5 off the Dragon. Now they're trying to jump on this themselves. Ghostly Pepper's going to come from the side. Can he land an exquisite pull once again? There's just basically musical chairs right now with Dragon. Here we go. The pull has been popped off from Ghostly Pepper, but Ragnar instantly back on. Here comes a Paranoia from Nocturne. But again, it's used as a defensive mechanism rather than an engaging one. Alex is getting taken down very, very quickly in these poking exchanges.
Moscow 5 are playing a poke core, which is not something they want to do, especially not against Soraka. They're just going to keep losing. They have the tools to hard engage. They have the Malphite ult, they have the Shirelias, they have the Blitzcrank pull, they have the Nocturne ult, they have Aurelia being able to jump, whereas CLG are really reliant on Snoopé charging into the enemy team with his ult there. Deathfire's Grasp used from Alex. I don't know who got the Dragon there.
Well, we do have a big exchange, though, in amongst all of that. And Moscow 5 with Diamond Prox have to be so careful. He is flashing up red and will be recalling.
CLG managed to pick up that Dragon. Good of them. Alex, yeah. Oh, trouble. Oh,
this is the third or fourth time I've seen Alex use his ultimate just to escape with his life. So many beautiful walls coming down from Froggen. And Alex's ultimate is going to be on cooldown, I should say, for the next 40 or so seconds. That tower has been taken down from Yellow Pete, and CLG will now be pulling themselves back. So they did pick up the Dragon, as you said before, and the tower on top of that, so they're going to be feeling pretty good on that exchange. And it's very similar to what we saw yesterday, Broken Shard, where they kind of poked, took down a tower, pulled back, and rinsed and repeated until they ended up winning.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You kind of broke off for a second.
It's just very similar tactics to the game we saw yesterday, where they kept poking, took a tower, then just basically retreated. Seems very similar.
CLG.NA has definitely managed to influence their EU team. It's as if CLG.EU were able to learn an American meta overnight, which is actually a big deal because Europeans are more used to the fast-paced, hard-engage style. But, I mean, it looks like Moscow 5, even with their success in these international events, are struggling with this.
Oh, Maokai is going to have to flash away. The Alex ultimate was used. Krevo gets pulled through the wall from Gosu, and he's going to get exploded in a matter of milliseconds. Beautiful play coming out from Blitzcrank, and that's definitely going to give them the advantage in this poke warfare now, that Soraka will not feature as any part of 40 seconds. And that could be the Baron coming up right now.
It could be, but here's another problem that I see that Moscow 5 will have to run into. How are they going to push when they're up against an Anivia, a Kog'Maw, an Olaf, and a Maokai? The Sapling, the Q, the Axes, the Anivia just being able to clear the waves.
We are going to have another engage here as a Paranoia used from Diamond Prox to jump onto Kog'Maw. Kog will be flashing through the wall, though, just to escape, but CLG did pull Moscow 5 off Baron. Here comes Wicked once again. Soraka is not up for 10 seconds, so that wish cannot be utilized for the next 6 or so seconds now. Another beautiful pull from Gosu Pepper onto Wicked, doing enough damage to force him back. They are going to be hard engaging onto Snoopy. Alex will come in with the unstoppable force, going to pick up one in the form of Nocturne. Can they get a second onto Wicked on no health whatsoever? Corki will pick that one up, and that could spell doom for CLG right there, because Baron will be getting taken down from Moscow 5. It's all about Gosu Pepper's pulls today, ladies and gents. Awesome play from him.
That's actually great that Moscow 5 were finally able to use their hard engage to the advantage. Snoopy came in, and instead of panicking and running away, they were just able to turn on him and burst him down, because Snoopy is actually not that tanky. He didn't have the Randuin's, no, he did have the Randuin's, but I mean, Gosu Pepper, sorry, not Gosu Pepper, excuse me, I keep mixing it up. Genja, Darien, and Alex X are able to just really burst. They used most of their abilities and spells on him. The BFG went off. Genja just does so much damage at the moment. Even without a Last Whisper, Corki's true damage accounts for a decent amount of his damage, and the Triforce Burst and sustained damage from Bloodthirsters, he really hurts. And he's going to go back with 3,000 gold. It's quite a ridiculous amount. He can choose to either buy a Last Whisper or Infinity Edge, though I'm pretty sure he might buy it. Just go ahead and buy the Infinity Edge there.
Yeah, I just saw that the Rabadon's Death Cap has been finished off there onto Alex, so he currently has 439 ability power. You have to factor Baron into that. I haven't seen him actually move for a while, so hopefully he's not having any issues on his PC or internet or anything like that. But the rest of his team are going to soldier on regardless through the mid. And where Moscow 5 really shine for me is when they do have a slight advantage, they really push it home and try and rinse and repeat and open that gap up and really expose it. So I would be expecting to see Moscow 5 pushing the side lanes, trying to take that jungle, but it's really important that Alex actually does come back, because
maybe he's waiting
there
on
we
something.
Go. He has just came back. There we go.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he was like had to close a door or something. I thought maybe he was waiting on gold because he had like 1,000 gold or something. Maybe he could sell his Heart of Gold and pick something up there. It's always a possibility. But Alex has actually have a considerable amount of cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction is a very good stat in Malphite. He's sitting at 40 right now with that blue pot. Without that blue pot, you know, it's quite a lot. The DFG gives him 15, the Chevaliers give him 15. Now that blue pot's definitely there just to kind of round off the reduction. We see kind of Moscow 5 running around the jungle. They're kind of having a difficult time deciding which lane to push. Wicked got a Banshee's Veil, so it's going to stop him from getting pulled in too often. So I believe one of these, the rockets, the stray rockets from Genja will pop that. Genja going for an Infinity Edge, and got that Chain Vest. It's going to be a Guardian Angel, as we know Genja loves to buy. And some split push going on here. That's really smart of Diamond there. He's tanky enough to handle Olaf, maybe not be able to beat him, but he'll be able to join the team fight a lot better than Olaf with his ultimate. And that's not something I've seen a Nocturne do in a long time, because of the range of his ultimate. It got nerfed slightly, but back when Nocturne was just released, the ult range was just disgusting, and he could push top and comfortably just jump into the mid lane with an ultimate at any time. Like if they're trying to push all the way down to the bases.
Well, this is very similar to what I was expecting to see from Moscow 5, utilising that Baron buff and pushing bot, top and mid all at the same time in unison. Now Corki, Genja is going to be going up towards top, going to be taking down this wave of creeps. In the meantime, Nocturne is at bot lane, now going to be pushing himself back up towards jungle. In fact, no he's not. He has rethought that decision. And you also have Gosu Pepper just lurking around, putting down the wards, trying to pick up an opportunity to pull a player through the wall. But maybe thinking twice now that Darien and Alex will be going back to pick up this dragon. So this is what Moscow 5 and this is what Baron buff in a nutshell are all about. Push those lanes inside and then pick up the jungle and the dragons and really just suffocate and choke out the opponent. CLG cannot move from their spawn right now.
Yeah, CLG is definitely on the back foot, 7,000 gold behind. So this Kog'Maw again is going to be able to rip people apart late game. It doesn't seem that Kog'Maw's really able to do much of a fight, because he's always getting zoned by the fear of getting Malphite ulted. Olaf always in the front, Snoopy always way out front. They're more interested in engaging rather than coming back and healing for this Kog'Maw. In most of those team fights, it was pretty much that case. Irelia now with a Warmog, she's absolutely tanky. She's like ridiculously tanky right now. No, not a lot of armor, but pick up another Null Magic. Maybe that's going to be turned into a Guardian. Genja now with a Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, Triforce, and Guardians. He's quite tanky. He's 2,600 HP and 170 resistances. Sorry, 170 armor, but 100 magic resist.
Yeah.
You know, Wicked building purely defensive items. He's gonna rely on his reckless swing to deal the damage, but you know, all of Moscow 5 are so tanky that you know they're not gonna be able to take so much damage from the. I mean, yeah, of course it goes through resistances, and the whole point is that it hurts the tanks. But when you have so much HP, kind of like how Moscow 5 does, 340 isn't really that much of a big deal, especially since when you're relying on that just for the majority of your damage output.
I mean, interestingly, Yellow Pete has not died yet, and 50 minutes through the game, he's on 106, and his items are fairly sick, really. The amount of damage that he should be outputting will be crazy, but unfortunately, he needs the support of the rest of his team around there. They need to be getting those walls down from Anivia. They need Snoopy to be really jumping in with a twisted advance, popping down his ultimate, and zoning out the enemy players. But so far, Moscow 5 have domination over the map. You can see that ward coverage in the jungle from CLG from Moscow 5 is pretty nice. They can see, by and large, everything on both sides. So CLG, again, repeating what I said before, can't really afford to move out to spawn right now. I think they're just waiting to pick up a straggler or to pick up an opportunity and to then really counter-attack. We are 50 minutes through the game, so if somebody dies in this kind of time period, they're going to be out for at least 50 seconds, up to 60, 65, and then CLG maybe can go for that really quick counter-attack.
And let's take a quick look at the levels here, and CLG is vastly underleveled. Soraka level 13, Ghost level 15, Snoop level 15, Diamond level 18. Almost all people on Moscow 5 are level 18 except for the support, but on CLG, Snoop is quite leveled. He's going for the Abyssal Scepter, which is actually a very strong item for him to pick up. Maokai will be able to get in there, and his AoE abilities are very good. At the same time, though, Baron should be Baron buff ended about like a minute and a half ago, so Baron should be spawning soon. We can see that since CLG are being pushed into their base, they're not really able to secure the vision, which is going to be a big deal for them if they're going to be able to contest this dragon properly. I'm sorry, contest the Baron properly.
Yeah, and that's another one of the scary things right now, is that Moscow 5 is setting up for that Baron perfectly. Look at the ward coverage from them on this side of the map. Absolutely crazy. All over the place they have prime positioning on that ward. So it's going to be difficult for CLG to maneuver themselves round without being spotted 10-20 seconds in advance from Moscow 5. Once that Baron starts to come under contention, it has already respawned. So it's really now down to which team wants it more. Of course, with Gosu Pepper and that pulling power, it just takes one pull to connect, and it can turn the tides of this battle.
Boss, if you're listening, can you just quickly take a look and look at the Fog of War for Purple Team? This is going to show you the vision that Moscow 5 has of CLG, and then do the opposite for Blue Team. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. They have a vision in almost all pockets of the jungle, in the special choke points where they're really careful not to fight in. They have to be careful not to fight with an Anivia on the enemy team. It's just great ward coverage, and even though Crepo just has an Oracles, he's not really able to remedy the situation quite as well as they'd hope.
Yeah, this all actually comes back from when last Baron was taken, that Moscow 5 invaded the jungle, they stayed there, got the wards down, and now they have the upper hand for this Baron. Having said that, though, CLG have managed to pull themselves through. Crepo does have an Oracle, so he has cleared out a couple wards there. But CLG just biding their time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Gosu Pepper very nearly landing that pull onto Anivia or Soraka. Literally at skin of the teeth away from getting pulled through that wall. And in the meantime, we actually have Nocturne moving his way down from that top lane. So again, we're going to have this kind of Baron dance where neither team wants to commit fully, and it's just going to be a case of who makes that small first slip up.
Yeah, CLG.eu, as I said, they're looking to poke a lot more than hard engage. They don't really necessarily have the tools. If Wicked had Ghost, it would have been a lot better. They're really going to rely on Moscow 5 misstepping themselves and walking into a position where Froggen can wall them out. Aside from that, Moscow 5 do have the tools to hard engage from range with Malphite ult and Nocturne ult. Blitzcrank grab is also a big deal in this, but Diamond gets a little bit split from his team, though it's not going to be a problem. He's got his ult to get back in there.
Well, Moscow 5 did take the Baron down to around 50% health, but CLG very quickly realizing what was going on. Nice pull once again from Blitzcrank, forcing that flash, I believe, from Soraka through the wall just to escape. Paranoia was popped as well from Diamond Prox. Obviously does get away the visibility from CLG, but didn't jump in and try and pick up a kill. Another grab attempt from Gosu Pepper, forcing the flash from Wicked. And in these kind of team fights, all them flashes can be so important. Diamond is now on the retreat, as Kog'Maw and Snoopy will be chasing him down. Frog going to try and take this opportunity to perhaps push this tower and the inhib down. Very smart play from CLG, realizing that Moscow 5 are out of position, but they are coming round from the rear right now. Alex will be popping in first. Tries wherever he has been used there. Beautiful silence though from Soraka, momentarily stopping that unstoppable force from coming out. Gosu Pepper has missed himself a grab, but in amongst all of that, the inhib tower goes down to 410 health. So nice snipe attempt from CLG. Alex and also Gosu will be recalling, and potentially CLG could pick up this Baron.
That's a brilliant play from CLG. They knew that there was no point in doing a Mexican standoff in the Baron pit, so they saw that Moscow 5 were kind of placed towards the top lane. They ran up the mid lane, but again, Alex deciding to DFG the Olaf instead of someone a little bit squishier. I feel that if he had just DFG'd the Kog'Maw or maybe like Soraka, even Soraka dying first is great. But now Baron picked up for CLG. At this late in the game, the Baron does not actually do that much for team fight power. I mean, everyone is close to having their full items, that Baron is actually quite a negligible difference. It's more about whoever missteps first, whoever makes that mistake that you were talking about first, is just going to straight up lose, and no Baron buff is going to remedy a misstep from an AP or an AD carry, someone important like that.
So we are getting to sudden death kind of periods of time here. 55 minutes through, 7-7 is the scoreline, but as you can see, about an 8.4k gold advantage for Moscow 5. Having said that though, CLG now do have that Baron buff, which will give them a slight advantage. Nothing to write home about, but lots of those full item builds are coming in, with the exception of course the 2 support characters. Lots of Trinity forces have been built up. You are also going to have Kog'Maw with some really impressive items, but it's just going to come down to those small mistakes or a moment of pure brilliance from somebody like Blitzcrank here. Getting that pull, right place, right time, shutting down a player, and then 4v5 steamrolling it through the mid.
Moscow 5 has some decent clearing with the Irelia ult, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be interested in using that to just clear waves. He's going to probably be using that to stack his to use his Triforce in teamfights, but Corki can use his ultimate as well, but that's also poking. He managed to pick up a Phantom Dancer over a Last Whisper. He's more interested in being able to do those crits, but I feel that since Olaf has so much armor that maybe getting that was not the best choice. The Last Whisper does give him the ability to move very fast in teamfights. He has 450 move speed, all thanks to that Triforce and Phantom Dancer, and look at his crits. Those are without Triforce. Then again, those are rates, not necessarily known for being tanky.
Oh, scary stuff here for Moscow 5. The Anivia wall did come down. They're going to be picking up this tower and should be collecting that inhibitor relatively shortly. They do have Moscow 5 all bunched up next to the inhib, and of course with Alex he remains a threat with that unstoppable force, which is off cooldown. Gosu Pepper on top of that is quite scary. If he can land that pull, the rest of Moscow 5 will pounce upon the recipient of it. He did just catch a Flash Frost. We are going to have a small engage kicking off there on towards Wicked from Irelia and Genja.
Yeah, Genja has no armor penetration at all. He's not going to do that much damage to the high armor tank line of CLG. In fact, Kog'Maw is sitting on a decent amount of armor that I feel that Phantom Dancer is going to go to waste if he does not manage to get a Last Whisper out of that. Might be selling his Guardian though. We'll see, nice maybe wall. Genja has some ulterior motive going on here. Taking a huge amount of damage from that Anivia.
Yeah, Frostbite crippling him there. He does have the Guardian's Angel, so he has a bit of leeway if he does get caught out of position. But he's going to want to hold on to that for as long as possible. The inhibitor is getting taken down over a duration of time, and this is classic CLG.eu. We saw it yesterday, we've seen it so far. Gosu Pepper does try an optimistic pull right down the center, doesn't land onto anything though. And that CLG is going to continue to try and poke and harass Moscow 5 and pick up that inhib. Another attempt of a pull from Gosu Pepper. In the meantime, top lane has gone down from minions. Anivia wall comes out. The inhib will be going down now from Wicked, who catches a seismic shard from Malphite. And they're now going to be marking towards that top lane. So super minions are going to be pushing through mid. And it's going to be another thing for Moscow 5 to take into account. So, I have to ask you, Broken Shard, what are your thoughts here? Can Moscow 5 weather the storm and come back in this game?
Absolutely, it's anybody's game at the moment. I mean, CLG are definitely using their advantage to clear blades and long-ranged Kog'Maw to win them towers. They're able to protect the Kog'Maw by setting up a wall, having Olaf throw an axe, and maybe Maokai setting up his ultimate just in case for the engage. And Moscow 5 just don't feel that they're not confident enough to try an all-out engage, because regardless of what they do, they're going to lose out if they just keep letting CLG take towers and poke them like this.
Now, that is definitely the problem, that Moscow 5, they're going to have to start thinking in the back of their mind, if they lose another inhib, or maybe another 2 inhib towers, then they're going to have to think about a last stand kicking off, because CLG, we saw it yesterday, they are relentless in these poking attacks. Now going to be going towards the bot tower, which is on just 550 health, but instead opting to pull themselves back instead. And Moscow 5, in the meantime, are going to be taking down the wave of creeps and potentially going back into their jungle. So we are going to go back to the farming phase again, but this is really getting down to crunch time. Nearly 1 hour through this game in the grand finals of the Medion Challenge Cup, which CLG are currently 1-0 in. It's going to be a best of 5, guys, so plenty more League of Legends action to come up regardless of how this game goes. And it's been a real classic so far. Awesome stuff between these two teams.
Good plays here and there. A lot of dull moments in between the games. I mean, where people are kind of poking in between. It's not necessarily the best things that viewers want to see, but it's definitely the fact that there's so much on the line here. 1,000 euros in cash money, plus 5 Medion laptops to the winning team. I mean, I've seen those Medion laptops. They're actually quite strong and quite good laptops, as well as it's a lot of pride involved. I mean, CLG.eu have always been known as a very good team, but not really been able to qualify for many LAN events, whereas Moscow 5 have been known as the kind of team that doesn't do give the best results in online events, but when it comes to offline events, they just destroy everybody and just return scary, going undefeated at Hanover like they did.
We did just see 2 Shirai's Reveries being used, one for either team. The first was from CLG, trying to track down Moscow 5 as Corki was out of position at bot lane. And the second was used from Moscow 5 just to escape with their lives. As Snoopy was in that taking point, that tower is going to be going down very quickly. When you have a Kog'Maw, the retaliation does come in from Alex Hitch with the ultimate, but the rest of his team slightly behind there are focusing onto Yellow Pete, who goes into his Guardian's Angel. Look at that damage from Anivia on the ground. Her ultimate just absolutely tearing through everybody. First kill will be coming in from Anivia. Second kill, surely any second now on Tai, really indeed. She will fall. So now going to be a 3 versus 5 situation kicking off here. Alex and Gosu both on no health whatsoever. And Genja on full is going to try his best to hold off this attack. In the meantime, CLG will be going back towards Baron, which has just respawned. So with Nocturne out for 50 seconds, Irelia for 55, this should by and large be a free Baron, unless Genja can pull off the steal of a lifetime.
Well, Genja, I feel that Moscow 5 could have been a lot more aggressive. CLG was low on mana, low on HP. And no, I don't believe Genja will try to go for the steal here. He does have an Oracles, though. He's going to know for sure that they're doing it. He can use his Q to reveal, but Snoopy does have his smite up. I strongly doubt that a jungler of such high caliber will let a steal like that happen.
Yeah, they are blocking the Baron.
What a great wall from Frog in there. Oh, he manages to pick up the Crepo, though, in the process, but the wall from Froggen does not allow Alex to use his ult to engage over the wall.
So, nice stuff though from Genja, a minor consolation. They did get the Baron buff, CLG, but they also lost Soraka in the process, who obviously won't be getting that Baron buff, and she's going to be out of the team fights for the next 40 or so seconds. It's going to give Moscow 5 a chance to go back and to recuperate, maybe to finish off a couple of those endgame items. Looks like everybody is by and large full built right now. No gaps whatsoever. 63 minutes through this matchup now. And incredible stuff has been kicking off left, right and centre. But strangely enough, 63 minutes through the game and only 17 kills.
It's definitely not the most interesting of all games, but you can definitely see there's a lot that you can learn from games like this. For example, the fact that pro teams, even small victories make a big deal. Taking a kill or 2 in the late game, it really teaches people the sort of gravity of the situation. One blitzcrank pull, one good initiate, one misstep, one Anivia wall And literally anything can just cause the game to turn bad and wrong for anybody. Even now, AK advantage to Moscow 5, Baron buff on CLG. At this point in the game, the Baron buff will do very little if someone gets caught out of position. And you can really understand what's going through these people's heads. There's so much pressure because it's very obvious to see who makes mistakes this late in the game. For example, you saw Crepo just kind of walk in a little bit too close and just gets dropped instantly. That's what can happen to anybody, even someone like Wicked. Maybe not Wicked because there's not a Last Whisper on the engine. He's not really able to shred him, and he has like 380 armor at this point. But for someone like Froggen, who isn't really built so tanky, even with that Warmog, he can still drop very low very quickly.
And amazingly enough, 65 minutes coming up onto the board, and 3 players are yet to die. Alex hasn't died yet, neither has Cogmore or Anivia. So it gives you an indication of how tense, how close this game has been from the very beginning. Both teams are thinking maybe in the back of the head about an engage. Alex, of course, does have a great way of just jumping in there with his ultimate. Of course, Ghostly Pepper can also pull with his Q, but it doesn't seem that either of these teams right now fancy a straight-up 5v5 fight. You got CLG just moving around, trying to maneuver Moscow 5. It's like a game of chess right now. That CLG are really trying to just make Moscow 5 do what they want by moving around that map, making Moscow 5 split up. You've got Nocturne at the top lane trying to hold off that creep wave. 3 players in mid. You've also got Irelia pulling back to spawn. And in amongst all that, CLG, very much a tight unit of players moving around that map together, taking down the wards and really trying to apply the pressure. So it's kind of fascinating to see how this game is going to finish. You have to feel it's all going to come down to one massive epic team fight or just one awesome pull from Ghostly Pepper.
Yeah, definitely. Though I feel, again, I'm just going to keep saying it over and over again. Just before I do that, it's 570 creep kills on Corki. Nice. I think... Oh god. Genja. But you saw, he auto-hit Wicked, and Wicked took less than 100 damage. It's really sad to see that Genja will not buy a Last Whisper this game. Maybe he will go and sell his Phantom Dance or a Triforce for it, but I feel that this Last Whisper is going to help him do so much more damage, especially since everyone on CLG right now has over 100 armor. Let's just make that one thing clear. Every single person has exactly 100 armor. Froggen a little bit low there. And once the Rock turns and heals someone, they're gonna get 105 armor. Everyone's gonna be turned into a super tank. What does Genja do?
Wow, ballsy. Jesus, he Valkyried in and forced the Shariah's Reverie. And 4 players to pull back, so Genja going balls to the wall aggression there, and he didn't get punished for it. The rest of his team are going to start to meet up once again.
He ate a Randwitz proc. That was kind of funny. That could have ended really badly for them. But, yeah. People might say that Corki's true damage passive, it kind of merits him not getting a Last Whisper. That's not particularly true, since his, it's only 10% of true damage. Somebody did the math, and Vayne's true damage, when compared to her auto hits and crits, is about 8% to 13% for actual total damage. On Corki, since it's a flat amount, it's even lower. So you can really imagine that if Vayne is getting only 8% damage increase from her passive percentage true damage, you can just imagine that Corki's not going to be receiving a whole lot out of that passive as his.
Well, guys, it's kind of difficult to commentate on what's happening because the atmosphere is very tense. Neither team wants to make a move right now or commit. We are 67, nearly 68 minutes through this one, and it appears that neither team is really going to be trying to push this one home and take it. So, obviously, we'd have to say CLG have the slight advantage in the sense that 2 inhib towers are currently down for Moscow 5, but it's not going to make a great deal of difference when we're this far through the game. A player will be sitting out for about 50 to 60 to 70 seconds even if they do go down. So it's all going to be really in those team fight situations, see if a player can pick up a kill or a straggler here or there, which is why myself and Broken Shard were whimpering there for Genja before when he kind of went ballsy, because had CLG turned around and nuked him down, that could have been the GG right there. Either way, CLG now going to start to push around the mid. Genja is on the flank but opting to pull back and join the rest of his team. And could this be the team fight that we've been waiting for?
Genja's around the sides. He's really looking to sort of jump in and try to kill someone as quickly as possible. Though Yellow Pete's
Yeah.
Guardian Angel is back up. He did go for Merc Threads now. A lot of pressure on these AD carries to stay alive. Though in a total fight, Yellow Pete is going to be so much more useful than Genja in the sense that he has more range, so he can play a little bit safer. Genja has the mobility, so that it kind of evens them out slightly. However, Genja's going to have to walk right into like melee, almost melee range in order to do damage, in which Froggen's going to have absolute control of the AD carry.
Gosu pulling a minion like a boss there. He was aiming for Wicked, only just missing. And Genja is still very, very ballsy at the back. Of course, he does have Valkyrie, so if suddenly he has a couple players jumping on him, he will be able to dash away. And is Alex going to be engaged anytime soon? Flash Frost has came in, he's going to have to go back here. Nice twisted advance used from the Snoopy. We are going to have an all-out balls to the wall kind of team fight kicking off. Beautiful wall coming out from Anivia just to save her own skin. First skill has gone down. Alex is not going to feature any more role in this team fight. Gosu Pepper from Anivia. That could be the GG right there. Soraka has gone down at the hands of Irelia, who picks up a double kill, so perhaps there's life left in the old dogs of Moscow 5 yet, but there's Wicked onto Irelia, 3-2 right now. Flash Frost flying in from Anivia, very nearly landing onto Corki, who still has his Guardian's Angel up.
Genja simply did not do enough damage. He was trying to hit the people. Snoopy barely got tickled out of the damage he's dealing. I simply do not understand why he's not building this Last Whisper. The second he builds Last Whisper, people are going to drop a whole lot faster. His armor shred from his Gatling gun is gonna help, but I mean, what's 50 or 40 armor into a 300 armor Maokai, a almost 400 armor Olaf, a maybe 250 armor Kog'Maw? It's gonna make almost zero difference. That Last Whisper is possibly the most important item choices he has to make.
Amazingly enough, even though we had a massive team fight kicking off, it wasn't enough to finish this game. So we have just hit the 70-minute mark. This is the longest game that I have casted on in competitive play. And the Dragon has been taken from Genja. To be honest, though, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever in the grand scheme of things. Everybody is level 18. Everyone, by and large, has full item builds coming up. Just saw a more of Malmortius and an Atmars and Pela added for Irelia. So she's going to be a tiny bit more tankier, a bit more AD on top of that as well. How is she currently looking for that, actually? 287 AD on Irelia is going to be scary. But as you said, Genja not quite doing enough damage. Has he changed up his build so far? No, he hasn't.
Nope,
he's sticking with the Trinity Force, Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster, and Infinity Edge. So I heard you say before, would you like to see him build up a Wit's End here?
Who, Genja?
Genja, I think you mentioned before.
No, Darius. Darius.
Oh, Darius.
Wit's End. At the moment, the Wit's End is not going to do as much damage since he wants to kill Yellow Pete instantly. Yellow Pete's selling his Guardian Angel for a Banshee's Veil. That's a quite smart item choice since he can negate some sort of burst damage that might come out, since people are going to be a lot reckless later in the game. They want to burst someone out. They can catch Genja, they're going to use it all, so they might not space out his abilities. And Banshee's Veil can actually block more than one spell if you use your abilities too quickly in combination. At the same time, though, Darien did sell his Wit's End for a Atlas Impaler, which I believe is a good choice. He's got 4,000 HP. It's going to add to his AD. At this point in the game, he wants to try to burst, not really deal sustained damage, because he's already not going to deal damage to the tanks on the enemy team, since, you know, bruisers they don't deal damage to each other. He really is more interested in dealing damage to Kog'Maw. And at this point, now that he has his Banshee's Veil, Kog'Maw is going to take a lot more damage from physical damage rather than magic damage.
Oh, beautiful pull coming from Gosu Pepper onto Snoopy, but it could backfire here as Corki's out of position. The twisted advance will come in. Paranoia being burnt off from Nocturne there on towards the back of the team fight. Alex H with a big ultimate right down the heart of that CLG lineup, but is it too little too late? Darien will go on towards Yellow Pete, who's now going to use that passive, choking up some players. Olaf will go back on towards Irelia. Malphite's been dropped from Anivia, and a nice attempt there from Genja just to escape, but double kill coming in from Anivia. That's going to be a 4-for-1 exchange, and that all started off from a pull from Gosu Pepper on towards Maokai. Unfortunately, it was the wrong player, and that kicked off the team fight. Corki was out of position, and that may have just spelt doom for Moscow 5. Unless Genja can hold off this 1v4 onslaught for 30-40 more seconds, this is going to be the GG and a 2-0 lead for CLG in this best of 5. So he's going to try his best, and if your ultimate goes down, first Nexus tower is going to start to take huge damage from CLG. Flash Frost has came in. Genja simply cannot hold this one off. Anivia wall comes out. Guardian's Angel has been broken.
Finally it's been broken.
Finally, yeah, and he will be getting ace. That's going to be the GG. Nearly 74 minutes through this game, and Moscow 5 had just hit the 100k mark. 102.
Diamond was classy leaving. But Genja was just being thrown around that team fight. He had to Valkyrie off several walls. He had that Valkyrie up quite often because of the blue buff that he managed to pick up. But Wicked just running around and chasing him most of the time, only stopping to occasionally reckless swing somebody. It was very good play from Wicked, playing the anti-carry role so well.
Oh man!
And when it came down to it, Genja had to hit the tanks. I know people are saying, yo, he can just go and 3-shot the Anivia, but it just came down to the fact that he was not able to get anywhere near. If he had been able to take out those tanks and then go for Anivia, it would have been possibly the best way for them to win team fights. Moscow 5 were really good in the fact that they were able to shut down Yellow Pete in every team fight. They were just relentless. They jumped on him all the time. And, yeah. It came down to the fact that they managed to kill Kog'Maw, which is definitely what Moscow 5's tank line should be doing. But then, Corki was just not able to take out the tank line quick enough.
Man, I need to catch my breath. I don't know about you guys, but if you want to win yourself a bucket load of Medion goodies, head on over to www.esportsheaven.net. I think Bass is showing you on the stream right now where you need to go. All you have to do, once the scores have been added in, is vote for the MVP of this best of 5, and if you do guess the right player, you will put yourself in contention for a bucket load of Medion gear. So definitely go ahead and do that, guys. And also, a couple people are asking me and the rest of us in chat who is casting. I am Metis, and I'm joined by the lovely Broken Shard. And why don't you just give the guys in chat and such, and those watching Broken, a place to follow you if they like your casting style. What's your Facebook?
By the looks of Twitch chat, not many people like me. My Facebook is facebook.com/BrokenShardStream. I'll link that in just a second. On the side note, if you'd like to talk to me in the EUS channel for those who are EU players, you can come into brokenshard.stream. Do you mind if I do a little bit of a shout out to some people who helped me out?
Go for it.
I'd like to give a shout out to Toonboon, who kind of gave me a little bit of help setting up my stream and my stream page. Some my friends Max, Horo33 on League of Legends. Lilac from Western Wolves, people who helped me kind of get into this position, and most of all, Quickshot for putting me in the position to be able to cast here. Thank you guys. I would have not been able to do this, and I absolutely love it.